So this is an off-schedule video where I've got to address a couple of things that have been in the news. So we're gonna answer a few fan questions regarding Antonio Brown and Malik Henry from Last Chance U. Now, I'm 100% not trying by any stretch of the imagination to compare Malik Henry to AB. That is not the intention of this video in any way. These are two completely separate topics. I'm just doing them in one video. Now, I do have an announcement at the end of the video, so if you're a regular viewer or a subscriber, you're definitely gonna want to stick around for that, as it's important regarding next week's pre-Super Bowl video schedule. Alright, let's get it. Samantha over on Twitter asks, will AB upstage the Super Bowl? First off, shout out to Samantha for the question. Now, if you're unaware, I'm sure you're probably aware by now, but the Antonio Brown situation seems to have come to a head. This past Thursday, AB turned himself into the police after an arrest warrant had been issued for him. Now, he was arrested and charged with burglary with assault or battery, burglary of an unoccupied conveyance, and criminal mischief less than $1,000. Court documents suggest that AB refused to pay a move-in service driver that had delivered some of his stuff from California. And then AB and his trainer battered the driver of the moving truck, or pretty much jumped the man, right? After that, an arrest warrant was issued for AB, who hid out in his big ass house for a couple of days. After a couple of days had passed, he finally listened to reason and decided to turn himself in. After a long hearing, they set his bond at 100 bands and required him to have GPS tracking, as they figured he probably was a flight risk. He had to give up his passport and guns, and I'm usually not for having to give up your guns, but in AB's case, like I've been saying for months now, I think this man is a danger to himself and others. So in this case, yeah, I get it. He's also got to go through court mandated drug and alcohol testing, and then most importantly, he's got to get court mandated mental health evaluations. Thank goodness. It sucks that this had to happen to AB, but it's honestly what he needed. If there is any chance at all that dude can shake back and salvage his Hall of Fame career, and more importantly, salvage his life, you know what I'm saying? Salvage this great life that he's built by his own hard work and talent. If there's any chance he's gonna salvage that, this was probably the best thing for him. He needs help, and he wasn't gonna get it on his own. So this, I think, is his best chance to stop this train wreck that we've been watching since preseason of this year. Or some might actually say things started to go off the rails toward the end of this Steelers run. One thing we can all agree on, it's constantly escalated, and it's gotten to a point where it's scary. As far as the question, will AB upstage the Super Bowl? Call me naive, but I don't think so. Usually, I predict that every week, AB is gonna be in the news, all right? And he has done it every single week, pretty much every Monday night or Tuesday after the FlemLo 5 video is already made. But after spending the night in jail and getting all these court mandated restrictions, I think, okay, I'm gonna predict that AB, at least for a week, will be relatively quiet. The lawyers probably got somebody to babysit him, which is sad that it has to come to that, but if I'm his lawyer, I'm pretty sure I'm taking that extra precaution. Now, with that said, AB is addicted to social media. He's addicted to attention. So the lure might be there for him, especially if he mess around and turn on his TV or goes on the social media and sees everybody talking about the Super Bowl. He might try to do something to upstage it. Maybe this is just like wishful thinking and optimism, but I think he's gonna control himself, or the people around him now are gonna control him. I know they haven't been able to do it in the past, but now it's real. He's facing some serious jail time. See, the thing is, AB was charged with 3 different things, but the most serious one is that he was charged with a felony burglary with battery, okay? That actually carries a potential life sentence in prison. That's a very serious crime. Now, there's other crimes that are way more serious, in my opinion, that get way less time, but that's, a discussion for another day. The point is, he's facing a potential life in prison sentence. Now, Is he gonna get life in prison? I seriously doubt that. But the threat is there, you know? AB's lawyer has said that he feels they overcharged him, and once a thorough investigation is done, he thinks the charges filed will most likely be very different than what they are now. And maybe he's right, but hopefully this is enough to push AB in the right direction, you know? And I'm actually very curious to see what turns up on a mental health evaluation. I know they're not gonna release the entire thing and tell you exactly what's going on, but I think we'll be able to tell based on the precautions taken after it's done. You know what I'm saying? I'm really hoping that they can help him. I don't want to see this man throw his life away for a couple people's entertainment on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, if you want more on AB's upbringing and the incident that I think brought all of this on, you can watch my What Happened to AB video, which will pop up at the end of this video. Now, let's move on to the second and final question of this particular video. Kurt over on Twitter wrote me and said, I know you got some comments on this. Speaking of a tweet sent out by Last Chance U alum, here's what the original tweet said. Malik Henry is no longer enrolled at Nevada. Boom. So I've got a few thoughts, but nothing too heavy. You know, this is just football. I think Malik will be fine as far as his life is going. I don't think this is going to affect him too much. With that said, as far as just from a football standpoint, this could be the end of the road for Malik Henry. Now, Malik started 2 games for Nevada last year, and he threw for nearly 600 yards, which is great, but he also only threw for 1 touchdown and 4 interceptions, which obviously is not so great. I think if he had not been injured in fall camp and would have really gotten a chance to get into this whole thing, I think the man is immensely talented. I think his football IQ is really high, and I think he could have done great, you know. But getting in there in spot duty, he definitely showed how explosive of a quarterback he can be, not with running, but just creating explosive plays with his arm. He was unable to execute in the red zone, but again, that's something that you can definitely improve with just time and repetition. Anyway, he was suspended during the year to focus on academics. They said it wasn't a suspension, but it was a suspension, okay? They also cited academics, but I'm not so sure that that's really what this whole thing was about. Anyway, that's just my feeling on the situation. I don't really have any proof that it wasn't just solely academics. Maybe it was. Anyway, today he's no longer enrolled at the school, so his time there is over. Malik has 1 more year of eligibility, but I'm not sure that he uses it to play football. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Like, who really knows at this point? One day it seems like he's not really that into the sport. The next day it seems like he loves the sport. And maybe he just feels differently on a day-to-day basis. I ain't here to judge him for that. Ultimately, dude's the ultimate journeyman at this point. You know, a trend that started when he was in high school, and it never seemed to stop throughout his college career. He played at 3 different colleges. He played at several different high schools. Just always trying to find their perfect fit, but never really staying long enough to build something solid. Anyway, that's all I got, man. Y'all think Malik's gonna continue to play ball elsewhere, or is this it? Let me know in the comment section. Now for the announcement. So part of the reason I wanted to do this impromptu video is because there won't be a FlemLo 5 video next week for me to address these topics. Not to mention, I don't really want to wait 4 more days, and there's going to be way more stuff to talk about by Tuesday anyway. But there won't be a FlemLo 5 video next week. Instead, I'm going to be dropping 2 What Happened to videos, okay? I'll be dropping one for a former player of each of this year's Super Bowl teams, okay? So 1 former player of the Chiefs and 1 former player of the 49ers. Let me see if y'all can guess the players in the comment section and who they are. You probably can. You'll probably get those right. One's gonna drop on Tuesday, and then the other one's gonna drop on Thursday, okay? So the exact same upload schedule as far as the times that I'm gonna be dropping, except no FlemLo 5. 2 What Happened To's, basically in celebration or inspired by the Super Bowl being next weekend. So make sure you subscribe and got your notifications enabled for those. I'm gonna see y'all on Tuesday, man. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button, subscribe if you're brand new. My name is FlemLo Raps. I'll at you next time, fellas. 1.
Yeah,